All right. Good evening, everybody. And yes, we are on the wrong day, but that's because I was not feeling that well on Sunday and decided to put the show off until today. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So, anyway, I am your host, Rich White, as usual. And this, of course, is This Week Unloaded. And, in a way, it might be a good thing that I held off a day because there was some craziness that happened in DC, which we're going to get to, where somebody, according to initial reports, was firing at JD Vance's motorcade. So, yeah, we're going to look at that. Uh, Also, teachers cutting class last Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but when I was in school, if we cut class, we got in trouble. But apparently, it's okay for teachers to do so. So, yeah, there's that craziness. You know, the whole May Day thing with the teachers. And not only did teachers cut class, they were also encouraging students to cut class. So I don't know if in your area where you all live, if they were doing that, but in several major cities they did. Why? Because they wanted to celebrate May May Day, May 1st. You know, and how did they do that? By celebrating communism and socialism, and bad mouthing the current presidential administration, and yeah, I'm sure you can figure out what all they did. So, but yeah, I mean, why is it okay for teachers to cut class but not students? Every one of those teachers should at least be suspended. I don't care. You know, they'll claim, oh, but it's a violation of my First Amendment rights. Except for you do not have the right to exercise your First Amendment rights on your employer's time. The Supreme Court has ruled on this multiple times. You can go ahead and say anything you want on your own time. But if you say it on your employer's time, or you take action of a sort that would fall into political speech and whatnot on your employer's time, they have the right to punish you. So They cannot claim First Amendment rights and claim that the school district does not have the right to discipline them, because they do. Some will say, "Well, it's the government." Yeah, well, you work for the government. The government has the right to say whether or not you can voice your opinion on the clock. You're supposed to be in that classroom teaching at that time period by your contract with the school district. That's where your ass should be at, not in the park 5 miles away acting like a fool. Yeah. So they want to cut class so much. Do what they do to students who cut class. Suspend them. Anyway, let's see who we got there on the YouTube side, shall we? We have first Mr. Ron 2A Matters, followed by Pack Rat's Attic and Bernie Sanchez. So that's who we have out there so far. Pack Rat said that DOJ is going after Denver on what? I haven't seen what that is, what that's in reference to. So, but yeah, I don't know what the viewers think, but yeah, I don't think if students can't cut class, I don't think teachers should be cutting class either. When the teachers are the ones that are supposed to be setting the example, I don't care what their reasoning is. In fact, there were school districts when students decided they were going to have a political walkout where students got suspended, got detention, got in-house suspension. The students were penalized. The students were disciplined for doing so. And yet you get teachers here who are actually being paid to be in the classroom, mind you, doing the exact same thing and getting away scot free. No penalization whatsoever. That's at the double standard. So, yeah. Packrat says they dropped a lawsuit on their assault weapons ban. Yeah, there's the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice has said that they are going to start going after states that have unconstitutional firearms bans. So we shall see what happens on that front. They've already stated that they have the paperwork ready to go and file when Virginia's bans that they've just passed go into effect. What is that, July 1st, I think? So, yeah, we shall see. This could be interesting. Yeah, she's the one. Packer said it's. God, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but the head of the Civil Rights Division just posted it on X. So about the deal with Denver. So yeah, I haven't seen that come across my X feed. So yeah, I didn't. What in the world? Oh, I still got that up. I gotta take that down. Would help if I remember to shut that off. There we go. No, it won't show. That's better. But yeah, I haven't seen that come across my feed as yet. But I got a bunch of stuff that comes across my feed, so I may not have seen it right away. But yeah, it may not. I may not see it at all, to be honest. Oh yeah, here we go. Hermit K. Dillon just sued Denver. How's your day going? So yeah, I guess I can screen share that. for those that haven't seen it. But yeah, just sued Denver. How's your day going? And she also says, just directed the Civil Rights Division through our Second Amendment section to defend law abiding Americans from unconstitutional restrictions. No one should face criminal penalties simply for exercising a right shared by tens of millions, regardless of where they live. So, yeah, there you go. She's that's another one. There was another state that she was planning on suing besides Virginia. I just don't remember which one it was now. But yeah, they're starting to move on those things. So, oh, yeah. Our Tech and Daughters out there on the YouTube side, and Rob D, the New York Outcast. So, evening to both of you fellas. Yeah, we got movement by the DOJ finally against these gun restricting states. Just see how far that goes and where it ends up. I said, was it last episode? Was it last episode or the episode before where I shared the letter that she had written to the governor of Virginia, stating that if theirs goes into effect on July 1st, that they will be filing the lawsuit paperwork that they've already filled out. So, yeah, it seems like the head of the Civil Rights Division is not playing games on this, which is good. Which is good. And on that front, I saw Guns and Gadgets the other day posted a video about how the Fifth Circuit said that the machine gun ban may be unconstitutional. They stopped just short of coming right out and saying that it is, but there's a reason. There's a reason for that, and I agree with the Fifth Circuit's decision not to come out and flat out say it in their decision on the case that involved, because what you had was a guy who was convicted of second degree murder. His lawyers filed an appeal saying that because he used a machine gun and machine guns are banned, unconstitutionally banned, that his murder conviction should be overturned. In a case like that, there is no way in hell that the courts were going to decide that the machine gun ban should be overturned. That just was not going to happen in that case. Is it good that the Fifth Circuit did state that the machine gun ban may be unconstitutional? Yes, because that can open up the door for an actual legitimate case to come forward. You know, probably Texas would probably be the best place to file at with the Fifth Circuit and everything, and get that ball rolling. But when you got somebody challenging that based on the murder weapon they used, no, that's not going to fly with any court. So, yeah, if you hear anybody saying that they should have said that the machine gun ban is unconstitutional, not in that case, not with that case. That is not the case where you want that to happen, because then you have somebody who committed murder back on the streets. That's just silly. Packrat says Stevens from Boli, like the Italian food, said he has a clean case that he is going to file in the next few days. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now, if you want to challenge anything federally as far as firearms are concerned, you want to do it in like Texas or I don't remember what other states are within the Fifth Circuit's jurisdiction, but Texas for sure is, because that's where all these cases that are going to the Fifth Circuit are coming out of, is Texas. So that if you got cause in Texas to file these cases, that's where you want to do it right now. And Rob says, anyone want to go in on a small, fast boat to go get our own damn gas? $4.50 a gallon is getting ridiculous. Um, yeah, but then you need to have gas to make the boat work, Rob. And where are you going to go to get it with the boat? It's not just here that gas prices are ridiculous. And it's OPEC because of the Iran thing. OPEC is basically using this to gouge on oil prices, which raises the gas prices to the point where the UAE actually left OPEC because in damn sorry, excuse me. Then solidarity with consumers, they said, and basically protesting what OPEC is doing. There's absolutely no reason for oil prices to have skyrocketed as much as they have. Iran does not produce that much oil, and they're so compared to other oil producing states to where it should have affected prices this much. This is all OPEC's doing. The other day, or a couple shows ago, I said if there's a good, decent country in the Middle East, it's probably the UAE. And we got another sign of that now. So, you know, but they're even the UAE dropping out of OPEC really isn't going to hurt OPEC's bottom dollar either. You would have to have somebody, the likes of Saudi Arabia, drop out to really uh, have even a modicum of chance of influencing OPEC in any way, shape, or form. The UAE is just a small little country. I forget exact just how big it is, but it's one of those real tiny ones that's off the eastern side of the Arabian Peninsula. In the same area as Dubai and Qatar and all Kuwait, all those countries right there along the eastern side of Saudi Arabia there in the Gulf. So yeah, real small little country. Not gonna be as big of an influence as what they think, but hey, at least they're making an effort. I guess you could say. So yeah. Anyway, yep. There's that. It says we got 3 watching on YouTube and 3 on Rumble. I don't know if anybody's watching over on X. I haven't checked. Let me go see if anybody's watching over on X real quick. Let's see. Nope, we ain't got nobody over on X yet, so I'm not really sure if we will. Again, this is just thrown together because I missed the show on Sunday because of not feeling well, and figured go ahead and do it tonight, make up for it. But now the other story I was going to discuss tonight is somebody apparently trying to take a shot, according to first reports, at J.D. Vance's motorcade, and Secret Service returning fire in that situation and whatnot. So, got the story from ABC News. U.S. Attorney reveals new details about suspect and Secret Service involved shooting in D.C. The suspect and a teen were struck during the incident, officials say. Officials said, excuse me. This is from today at about 5:45 Eastern by Pierre Thomas, Luke Barr, and Meredith Deliso. Where was I? I've got a picture here where Secret Service. No, it's actually a video. I'm not playing the video. I don't feel like getting copies struck by ABC because they may. Anyway, the man accused of exchanging gunfire with U.S. Secret Service officers near the White House property in Washington, D.C. on Monday allegedly said F the White House while en route to the hospital, according to U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro. Yeah, another peaceful Democrat, says Pack Rat's Attic. One of the things that he said on the way to the hospital was F the White House and kill me, kill me, kill me 3 times, Pirro said in an exclusive interview with ABC News Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas on Tuesday. But he was very clear, F the White House. Quiet, cat. Shh. The suspect and a juvenile bystander were struck during the exchange of gunfire, according to the U.S. Secret Service. Pirro said she intends to charge the suspect, whom she identified as Michael Marks. Is that his real name? Marks? Oh, man. He even spells it like Carl. Yeah. With this, anyway, she intends to charge him with assault against a federal officer. The 45-year-old suspect has a Texas driver's license and no obvious connection to Washington, and authorities are working to learn why he was in the city, according to multiple law enforcement sources. Authorities are executing search warrants on his phone, digital media, and other locations to try and determine if he posed any threat to specific individuals or entities, including President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, sources said. Like I said, yesterday, the initial reports were that he was firing at J.D. Vance's motorcade. That has since been called into question and in some cases denied. So people think that by coming to the nation's capital, they can really put an emphasis on their political statement, Pirro told ABC News. I don't like that the nation's capital is being used as the venue or the context within which people which people want to practice their political violence. Packer says West Texans are to blame. Yeah, but you're only a temporary Texan. You haven't been there long enough to fully qualify. She urged people against coming to Washington, D.C. for such purposes. Yeah, like they'll listen. The shooting occurred around 3:30 p.m. Monday near the National Mall outside the perimeter of the White House complex, according to U.S. Secret Service Deputy Director Matt Quinn. A plainclothes Secret Service officer observed a suspicious individual that appeared to have a firearm, Quinn said during a press briefing. Uniformed Secret Service police briefly followed the suspect, and upon making contact, he fled on foot and fired in the direction of officers, Quinn said. He starts running, and as he's running, he pulls a gun and starts shooting at the Secret Service, Pirro told ABC News. They return fire, and it turns out that this defendant, Michael Marks, shoots at the Secret Service. He gets shot a few times. Marks was shot multiple times and remains hospitalized, Pirro said. At least one bystander, a male juvenile, is believed to have been shot by the suspect and sustained non-life-threatening injuries, according to Quinn. What the? She's going to have to sleep. Amy, call your youngest and see what she wanted. Call your youngest and see what she wanted.
God damn it, my hands are dirty.
Yeah, well, I can't call her. Quinn, the teen has since been released from the hospital, Pirro said. Everything I've seen leads me to believe, and investigators believe, he was struck by the suspect, Quinn said Monday. The shooting comes over a week after an alleged assassination attempt on Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Whether or not it was directed to the president or not, I don't know, but he will find out, Quinn said Monday. Or we will find out, excuse me. Not long before the shooting occurred, Vance's motorcade passed through the area, Quinn said. The suspect did not approach the motorcade, according to Quinn.
Richard.
What?
She had a payment come out Amazon on her, and she wanted to make sure it wasn't us. I know nothing about that. You'll have to check.
I don't know, and I can't do that right now.
When he gets a chance, he'll check, because I don't know anything about it. You know what I mean? I know.
And where was I? The suspect is not approached the motorcade, according to Quinn. The use of force investigation will be conducted by the Metropolitan Police Department, Quinn said. The incident prompted a brief evacuation of the White House North Lawn.
So when I come back in from doing trash, I'll see what I can get done.
So.
Yeah, and call you back. I'm sorry, I was rushing up the stairs and I messed up the door. How much was it for? So. Okay. Because see, we haven't ordered anything from Amazon. Yeah, we don't have any automatic payments with them. Yes. Okay, I'll be back with you as soon as I know. Alright, bye. Now I gotta get trash done before it gets any darker. Your lunch. Come on, Shadow.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to get irritated with this. Anyway. So, yeah. Guy took pot shots at Secret Service, and he's in the hospital now. Why? Because he's stupid. But, yeah. Just another day at the office, I guess, in Washington lately. White House Correspondents' Dinner shootings. This. What is wrong with people? I mean, good Lord. Prop says, as Rodney said, no respect. I tell you, no respect. You get no respect. I tell you what. We got Tactical FUD, aka Buck, out there on the YouTube side. Evening, sir. Been a long time since seen you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Ron Wayne's out there. Bonsai, Ron. Yeah. More violence in D.C. of the political nature, not the gang-related, which is what they're used to. They're used to the gang-related stuff. Now they're starting to get the political side starting to rival the gang side since Trump went and started cleaning up that problem with the National Guard and whatnot in D.C. Now you got idiots going D.C. and just deciding, you know what, I'm going to cause chaos and political violence. Packer says if the left would stop spreading the hate, it may be different. Yeah. They blame the right, but and actually seen where left wing media personalities have tried saying right wing violence is worse. When's the last time anybody, on this question, saw anything like this out of somebody on the right? Here's a little tidbit for you. If you go and you look through all the attempted presidential assassinations and successful presidential assassinations in U.S. history, they've all been done by somebody from the left. Every one of them. Including against members of what would, at the time when they occurred, been the political left. The guy that tried to shoot Andrew Jackson, for example. Well, didn't try, he did. Is Andrew Jackson was a total and complete badass and shrugged it off like it was nothing and beat the guy with his cane. That guy was a Democrat, just like Andrew Jackson. Or I can't remember if he was actual Democrat or the party that became the Democratic Party. But anyway, Jackson was in that sphere. So was the shooter. The guy was mad at Jackson for not doing what he thought Jackson should have done. The guy that shot Kennedy, Oswald, guy was a communist. The crazy guy Hinckley that shot Reagan, his family Democrats. I mean, it's granted that guy was ultimately sentenced to an insane asylum because he was a nut job. Packrat said, "Did you know everyone on Mount Rushmore either was assassinated or had an attempt?" Wouldn't surprise me. I know there was at least one case where a British national loyalist tried assassinating Washington. Yeah. Of course, Lincoln was assassinated. Yeah. Yeah. Again, guess what party? Well, guess what party John Wilkes Booth belonged to, everybody? He was a Southern Democrat. Yeah. Yeah, we got that, and I'm racking my brain here trying to think of anything in the news lately that's been a case of right wing violence, and I can't think of any. It's all been from the left lately. All of it. Doc says make the nut house great again. First, you have to bring back the nut houses before you can make them great again. People blame Reagan for that, but for the asylums being closed down. But that started in the 70s under Carter. That wasn't Reagan's doing. That was Carter's doing. It just took that long for him to finish doing it. it was in response to different investigations and movies like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I believe that was a book before it was a movie. Yeah, but the movie is what really started getting people up in arms about the asylums, and then they started doing investigations under Ford, and then they started the actual shutdowns under Carter, but that gets ignored, and because it finished under Reagan. Reagan gets the blame for it, even though it wasn't his policy to shut them down. It was already started by, again, the Carter administration. Sometimes it takes more than one presidential term for things such as that to reach fruition and completion. So, not that Reagan couldn't have stopped it, but potentially. I don't remember if that was done through executive order or if that was done through act of Congress. If it was done through act of Congress, there would have been nothing that Reagan could have done to stop it. The House and Senate themselves would have had to have done so, but since they were under the control of the Democrats and the Democrats were the ones that implemented it, they weren't going to stop it. Just little tidbits that add up. But yes, we need more mental institutions. We honestly do. There's a lot of people that seem to be going off the deep end lately. And we've discussed it before. A lot of these people are being told that they're perfectly normal when they're not. Which is why, if you look at the most recent episodes of, I don't want to use the term school shootings, but attempted mass killings in a school, there's been one demographic that's been prominent, shall we say, in the execution of such crimes. Why? Because they're told they're normal when they're not. They're told that if they get these surgeries and take these hormones, they'll be fine. And they're not. Depending on the source, the suicide rate pre-surgery, okay, is between 20 and 40%, depending on what source you use. Post-op, it's the same. If taking the hormones, getting those mutilating surgeries done, fix these people, you would not have a suicide rate the same before and okay. Am I still alive? Yeah. I hit the wrong button, kicked myself out of the chat. Yay. But anyway, where was I? Yeah. If the so-called treatments in quotation worked, you wouldn't have the suicide rate that you do before and after. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that out. whatever is broken pre-treatment in these people is still broken post-treatment. Which means that the treatment ain't working. And so they go and do something stupid. Packer says if you stop treating mental health as a crime, it would go a long way. Yeah, people that should be in mental institutions are instead being put in prisons. That doesn't help. I'm not going to argue with you there. That does not help. But with the dearth of mental institutions that we have in this country, and these people who are dangerous, let's not be mistaken. They may have a psychosis, but they are still dangerous. Where the hell else are we going to put them? And it's not through any fault of their own that they have this mental issue, that maybe they don't see right from wrong the way everybody else does because of whatever their psychosis is. But they have to be gotten off the streets. And we don't have the facilities that we need to put them in because people threw a fit back in the 70s because they saw a movie. Instead of going in and fixing the problem with the asylums, they just decided they're going to shut them all down. Yep, got some barbecue out there on the YouTube side asking what he missed. The loony who shot at Secret Service in D.C., the communist teachers on May Day, and now we're talking about the consequences of the asylums being shut down in the 70s and 80s. Gary's not here, so we haven't talked about baseball. Packrat said it's not humane to let them live on the street. Yeah, sadly, that's where they end up. They either end up in prisons where they don't belong when they should be in a mental institution, or they end up on the streets because there's no mental institution to put them in. Oh, yeah, we also talked about the oil situation and the gouging of that OPEC is engaging in right now. There was one story, I didn't catch what city it was in, but guy just got out of prison or jail, I forget which. He goes on the subway with a hammer and a knife, exclaiming that he's going to kill Whitey. The guy, if you watch the video, clearly I don't think was all there. And he's a perfect example of what we're talking about. He looked like he was homeless, the way he was dressed. and his appearance in general. And he was violent, but it may be because he had a mental issue from the way he was acting. No, it wasn't Chris Farley. If it was Chris Farley, we'd be in trouble because he'd be a zombie, and that means that the world's going to hell more so than it already is anyway. Yeah. It was. So yeah, just another crazy weekend. What else is going on? I don't really have it.
Not that I can tell. I said, not that I can tell. All right.
Where'd it go?
Okay.
That was one thing I thought was funny.
As soon as he's off, I'll have them removed off of there. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Oh, I know.
Saw this earlier.
You know how that goes. All right. I love you. I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye.
Nice. National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. New version of X is available. What do you mean a new version of X is available? Like it's a software program you download now? What? Yeah, I thought this was funny. Make it nice and then they can't complain, right? Anyway, that was posted by Donald Trump. And then Homeland Security shared it on X. Guns and Barbecue said to tell you he loves you too.
I was talking to my daughter. your kid.
Yes, I know who you were talking to, but he didn't.
She just canceled the card and had a new one sent.
Okay. Why?
Because she don't know where the money came out of and what for. Because you couldn't look.
No, I can't. I couldn't do that right this second.
It's $5.
Okay. Whatever it was, it seems like they tried coming out of my credit card too.
Okay. Who knows what it was then?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So it was on Amazon, whatever it was.
Okay. It might be one of your things,
You mean
one of your subscription things.
that we need to cancel? That
Anyway, whatever. Packrat said, "Did you hear that one of the reforms the ATF is doing is if you need financial assistance from the VA, it is no longer a disqualifying factor for getting a gun." Yeah, that was something the VA did under Biden, where if you had to have somebody help you with your finances, that was disqualifying to own a firearm, and that's been fought. Yeah, people were winning against that, and the ATF is getting rid of that altogether under the new director. Rob, the real world version of a podcast. Yes, sadly, sometimes when you're doing one of these, and the real world can sometimes get in the way. There's not much you can do about it. Especially when you're doing it when at a time where you're normally not scheduled to do so. So, yeah. What our daughter wanted could have waited until I got done doing this. I wasn't going to change anything, but eh, if she wants to cancel her credit card, that's on her.
She just had him send a new one.
Packer says as the world turns podcast. Not quite that bad. Rob's asking, well, yeah, why are you off schedule? I discussed that at the beginning of the show. You have to go back and watch the beginning to find out. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that the VA director under Biden was trying to do that wasn't exactly kosher. Yeah. Rob said he was just heading home and got a notification. Yeah, yeah. I did say during Gary's show last night that I was going to be doing the show tonight, so said he couldn't hear it while driving. Why not? Phones interact with cars where you can listen to the while you're driving. Other people do it. Jeez, Rob. Minnesota Democrats just blocked a fraud committee subpoena for Somalia Rep Ilhan Omar due to her likely involvement in a $250 million fraud scandal. Omar refused to turn over documents by request. Now the subpoena failed. Why am I not surprised? Is anybody surprised by that? That the Democratic Party would block an investigation into Ilhan Omar? I'm I'm absolutely shocked. I tell you, shocked. That's sarcasm. In case you're not up to snuff on sarcasm, I think there was a story on Fox News about that earlier too. Let me check. Yeah, I guess we can impromptu talk about this one too, since I saw it on X and that reminded me about it. Yeah. All right. Is it sharing? No, because I forgot to put it on. There we go. And let me go back over here to that. There we go. There. So now you don't see my logo blocking. All right. Which one are we at? I can close that one. Okay. Minnesota lawmakers fail at trying to get Omar to testify about alleged fraud. GOP leader talks next steps. State Rep Kristen Roberts said the failed subpoena vote will not stop efforts to investigate fraud or Omar's ties to it. Again, this is from today at 6:07 p.m. Eastern. Alex Schummel, Andrew Mark Miller from Fox News. Rep. Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, refused to respond to requests from a Minnesota committee seeking more information on her ties to the massive fraud scandal in the state, prompting a failed subpoena vote on Tuesday, but the committee's chair says more options exist. The subpoena, which required a 2/3 committee vote in favor to pass, only got 5 out of the 6 votes needed despite the committee's Republican majority. We have reached out to Representative Ilhan Omar on multiple occasions, inviting her to testify and inviting and requesting documents, State Rep. Kristen Robbins, chair of the House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Committee, that's a mouthful, isn't it, said ahead of the vote. We have endeavored in multiple ways to get access to information because, as everyone knows, Representative Omar had some role, whether inadvertent or not. She passed the Meals Act in March of 2020, and that took the guardrails off the federal school nutrition program, which created the conditions of fraud or for fraud. What the hell? What the hell do you call that outfit? I do think the subpoena is important. This is one of dozens, if not hundreds, of things we are investigating. We have had hundreds of whistleblower reports. They continue to come in weekly, Robbins added, noting she will continue to try to reach out to Omar's office to get cooperation. Even though the committee will no longer have official hearings, we will continue to investigate these whistleblower reports and webs of fraud. Fox Digital touched base with Robbins on Tuesday about possible next steps. They're fading, Robbins said about the committee's options after a failed subpoena vote. But I'll certainly talk to our friends in Congress to see if they will be willing to issue a subpoena. I don't know if they are, but they would have the same authority and it's still relevant to them because it's a federal program that's been swindled. So I don't know if they would be willing to do it, but it's worth asking. Robbins added that the federal government has a whole menu of legal options given that Omar is a member of Congress. They have so many investigations going on. I don't know where this falls on the priority list, Robbins said. Last month, Robbins says the Congresswoman ghosted the committee by failing to appear to testify at a hearing focused on the Meals Act, a federal COVID-19 relief measure passed in 2020 and sponsored by Omar. Minnesotans and the members of the House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee were disappointed that you failed to appear before our committee to answer questions, Robbins wrote before asking Omar to turn over communications showing how she promoted expanded access to federal child nutrition programs, including emails, texts, and meeting records with the Minnesota Department of Education and constituents. The request also zeroed in on Omar's public promotion of a Minneapolis restaurant that later became linked to the program. Robbins cited a Somali language TV appearance in which Omar highlighted Safari Restaurant as a meal distribution site and asked for all communications related to the video and the restaurant's participation. For those of you who remember, that was the restaurant that a couple months ago was caught not doing any of what they were claiming to do. So that's why that restaurant's important to this investigation. Robbins is seeking records of any contact between Omar and a long list of individuals charged or implicated in the Feeding of Our Future case, including nonprofit founder Amy Bach and dozens of alleged co-conspirators. The deadline for Omar to respond to the committee's questions was Tuesday, May 5th, so her deadline was today. Fox News Digital reached out to Omar's office for comment. It's the same story every time, Robbins posted on X after the vote. Fraud is committed, information is suppressed, and the dysfunction continues. Yep. Again, I'm not the least bit surprised that they would block her having to testify or turn over anything. Packard said he wouldn't be surprised if she leaves on her own in the middle of the night. And Rob brings up the vehicle mandate requiring all new vehicles read your eye and body movements to determine if you should be driving. Yeah, to my knowledge, that's only passed the House so far. I don't know if that's passed the Senate. But yeah, it should never have made it out of the House of Representatives. And there are members of the House that are angry that it did because there were Republicans that crossed over and voted on that when they shouldn't have. And there's been some infighting in Congress over that. Rob says lots of crazy stuff to cover. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ilhan Omar being involved in potential fraud and it being blocked, in the investigation being blocked by Minnesotan Democrats does not surprise me in the least. Hell, they're probably covering their own asses by covering hers. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the ones that voted no were involved. Yeah, the only thing I've seen was that it passed the House. I hadn't seen if it had passed the full Senate as well. I don't know. But anyway, you look at it, the your car shouldn't be doing that because I don't trust the AI enough to want to bet on that happening. I mean, somebody posited this was a congressman who was involved in and voted against it. What happens if somebody is wrongly determined by their vehicle to be intoxicated while they're doing 80 miles an hour on an interstate? That could be a serious problem. You know, the car in front of you suddenly stops on the interstate. It's not a good thing. Next thing you know, you're rear-ending the car in front of you, and neither driver is at fault. It's the car itself that's at fault because it determined that the driver of the car in front of you shouldn't be driving and decided to shut the car off. At 80 miles an hour, you ain't got much choice but to smash into the back of them, depending on how busy that interstate is. You're not going to be able to swerve to avoid them. You're going to hit the brakes and hope that you stop in time. Yeah. It's a crazy situation. Crazy situation. Yeah. On one hand, I can see their argument for, but I can also see where this is going to cause an even bigger safety issue. Remember, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Just because something sounds good on paper doesn't mean it is. And, yeah. Patron Dark out there on the YouTube side says, nope, the answer is definitely more midget tossing. Yes, toss midgets at the drunk drivers. That'll stop them. Ooh, midget tossing at moving cars. See if you can hit the car. Yeah, I don't know. That might not be legal. Demolition derby midget tossing style. I don't know. But Rob says life sounds more and more like a bad movie every day. There's things going on right now in real life that if you pitched it to Hollywood as a movie 10, 20 years ago, they'd have laughed you out of their offices. There's TV shows and movies being made today. If you pitched the idea to them 10, 20 years ago, they'd have laughed you out of their offices. Patriot says, no, now that's way over the line. That's that line. Rob says, keep an eye out for Men in Black throwing out boxes of sunglasses. I'd be more worried about Men in Black with the little flashy thing. Did you flashy thing me, Kay? Anyway. Patriot says, throwing in the cars involves auto insurance. We all know how corrupt that is. That's why I said you do it demolition derby style. You know, you're in an enclosed track with cars that are all beat up. That way you don't have to worry about the auto insurance. I'm not talking about go out to the I-80 and start throwing midgets at cars on I-80. No, that would be silly. Do it in a controlled environment. You know, live action Frogger. LARPing Frogger. Yeah, that's what it'd be. It'd be LARPing Frogger. Or what was that game on the Atari Freeway where you had to get the chicken across the road? Basically the same premise as Frogger, but without the Frogger copyrights. Anyway, I think I'm gonna call it for now. If somebody out there's got something, but looks like they're just talking about car insurance now, and I ain't going down that. I don't want to get into that whole rabbit hole of insurance and all that crap right now. So, yep. Thank everybody who showed up tonight to watch this impromptu stream. Again, I had to make up a show because I missed Sunday night. So, yeah. Be sure to, if you're not a member of Gizzard Gary's channel or Ron Wayne's channel, to if you feel inclined to do so, to go and consider getting a membership for their channels, help those guys out, and you may or may not be able to get something nice out of the bargain too. So, anyway, with that in mind, we will catch y'all that are, those of you that are members of both those channels, tomorrow night on Ron Wayne Official and Mr. Gizzard Gary channel tomorrow night at 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern, respectively. So until then, have a good night. And as far as this channel, we will catch you hopefully on this coming Sunday. And yeah, that's about it. So let me find that outro. Seriously, where'd my outro go? There it is.